You know, Easter is a season of hope. At least it's supposed to be for us. And yet I realize sometimes that things happen in life that can just really drain the hope right out of us. And today I want you to hear the story of a family here in our church that has experienced the movement of God and a story of amazing hope. I'm going to ask James and Dee Hunt and their son Alex to join me here on the stage. And their son Aaron is, they have a son Aaron who will not be joining us, but their story, some of you have prayed for James and Dee and Alex. Oh, you got chairs? All right, good. I understand, certainly. And but some of you don't know their story, the amazing thing that God has done over the past couple of years. And so I'd like to just ask, tell us a little bit about what happened that really kind of shook you to your very core.
Well, we've actually had many events, unfortunately, in our family. 4 experiences with cancer in the last 13 years, the most recent one being with Alex. But when we look back at those events that led up to Alex's diagnosis, and he's going to talk about that in a minute, we can see how each one of those built our faith by providing hope, strengthening our faith so that we could get through the worst. And many of those things, prayer, the providence that God gave us through our church family, and now professing that experience to others, all led up to January of 2016.
Before you go further, Alex, I want to just say that 22 years ago yesterday, James and Dee stood here on the platform of our church and became husband and wife. And so your anniversary was yesterday, and I saw a picture of that, and I was in the picture, but for some reason my hair was black then. I don't know what's happened all this time, but so you mentioned prayer, and Alex, tell us a little bit about the diagnosis that really shook your world.
Well, I was diagnosed January 4th, and I remember getting pulled out of school early, which is usually a good thing, but I guess when we were sitting in the doctor's office and he said the word carcinogen, meaning cancer, I just kind of froze up. I didn't really know what to think, but for a while that was the case. But walking out of the hospital, I was scared, but I didn't feel hopelessness. I felt like I was going to get through this, and I knew that I had an amazing family and just so many friends here at church and at school and just all around me in life. And knowing that I would have all these people supporting me and praying for me, that would help more than anything. And I guess in a way, at a certain point, I felt confused as to why God would do this to me. But I came to realize that through my experience, I led a lot more people to get closer to God through prayer, and just seeing what I went through helped a lot of people. So my suffering ended up helping just countless people.
That's amazing. Well, I want to tell you, Alex, that I know you went through a lot of suffering during the treatments, and we saw you literally just, your body just kind of dwindled away, and you're starting to get your strength back and your weight back, and it's good to see, and you're back off at college, and that's good news. Through all of this, how have you seen the hand of God working in your lives?
I guess I'll take this one. Y'all bear with me because I'm the crier of the family, so I probably won't get through this without
That's okay. That's
losing
okay.
it. I told Dr. Dean this morning that when I was thinking about this, I started writing it down, and I had like 10 pages of things, and I said, I cannot tell everybody these 10 pages. I have to condense it down, or they'll cue the music and kick me off stage. So I made a couple of notes. I think every time a family goes through something like this, that you learn something about yourselves, and you learn, sometimes it's not what you want to learn. Just prior to his diagnosis, a few weeks before, he was getting some scans done. We didn't know what was wrong at that point, and at that point, I myself had a pretty serious accident. I won't go into that, but I actually had to call 911 as I was laying on the ground. The first thing that came into my mind was not actually a thought, it was almost a question. It was, why haven't you witnessed for me? And I realized that although that I've been doing a lot of things for a lot of people, I didn't do it for the glory of God. And I never took the time to witness to those people. And I vowed at that point that I was going to learn how to do that. And it was a couple weeks later that we got the diagnosis with Alex, and I'm like, Lord, how am I supposed to do this when these things keep piling up like this? And it's amazing the people that he put in your life. There's a couple of people that are no longer with us that really stood out to me. The very first scan that he had, Bobby Estelle came up and sat with us and prayed. And in the middle of telling me a fishing story, which if y'all know Bobby, that happened quite a bit. He stopped right in the middle and looked at me and said, God's got this. He said, that's all you got to remember. And then he went right back into the fishing story. So,
and he's battling cancer himself at that time.
He was battling cancer himself at that time. And then as we went through the treatments, I saw Alex's faith grow stronger. I saw him mature into a man. I admired his strength. I wish I could have been half the man he was through this. I saw him break down one time through this whole thing. For me, it was every day going to work. Every time I was by myself, I'd lose it. But I saw his faith show through and his strength. And then my wife, every day, even though she was struggling like I was and like Alex was on social media, she was constantly posting the glory of God and what he can do for you, and to put your hope and your faith and your trust into him. And then the other person who I sat many times in the hospital room and read her post was Monica Ward. Which, if y'all know her, she was going through the same thing, and we lost her to cancer. I believe it was in end of April. But I remember sitting in Alex's room and reading the post that Dee would put up and that Monica would put up. And as I went through all this, I know I'm dragging out, I'm trying to hurry.
It's okay.
I started to learn from these people how to share the word of God with people. I work with two wonderful guys, Joe and Juan, and I see that in them every day. They never hesitate to take time to step out to a total stranger and witness to them. In my line of work, we come across a lot of people, a lot of families with a lot of different issues. And I've always envied those two guys to be more like them. So we got through all the treatments and everything and got Alex back home, which was still pretty rough to get him back to where he was. And I learned through all the struggles and just sitting back and watching all the people that supported us financially, prayer-wise. There was people we didn't even know, helping us out anonymously. Our family, and people all across. I think Dee had a friend send her a picture of a friend of hers that just went to visit a church, and Alex's name was up on their prayer board.
Wow.
And it was just amazing of the prayer and the support in our Sunday school class and what all everyone did for us. And it wasn't long after that within a span of 3 weeks, God gave me the chance to actually witness to 3 different people. One, a single mom that the husband had left when she had the baby. And I didn't know her situation at the time, but I took the time to tell her our story, and it changed her. She actually had sent me a message back saying that she never looked at that aspect of things, and now she's fixing to head off to Dallas Baptist University.
Awesome.
I encountered a young man Alex's age at my work he had pancreatic cancer. And he was in an abusive situation. And at that time, Juan, my coworker, and I were able to step in and witness to this young man. And I could connect with him because of the connection I had through Alex. And the last one I'll mention, there was a few more, but there was a lady at my work that had terminal cancer. And someone had gave Dee a book back when she was going through her breast cancer. It was called What to Do on the Worst Day of Your Life. And so I asked Dee if I could give that book to this lady. And I flipped through it and saw all the things that Dee had highlighted in there. And it inspired me to actually read the book before I gave it to this lady. And I approached this total stranger at my work. And I said, look, I know what you're going through. I know you don't know me, but God wants me to give this to you. And he wants me to tell you that he is with you and to put your hope and your faith in him.
That's great.
And she passed away, I believe, about 2 weeks ago. But there was a calm about it when her sister told me that she had changed her outlook on things. And I went through all this to tell everybody that you can learn from tragedies, and you can learn what God does for you even when you don't see it in the beginning.
That's great. Church, this is a testimony of how the hope of Jesus Christ will get you through the darkest hours of life and how he will use that for his glory. So would you just express your love and appreciation to the Hunts? They're just such a blessing to us, and thank you for sharing your story with us. And great job, man. Great job.